quick introduction to today's episode with my guest Trish Lewis. So some of you will be familiar with Trish from Instagram. She's Trisha.transformation on Instagram. And currently she's got between 50 and 60,000 followers, her transformers on her Instagram page. And there's a reason that I didn't open this introduction with a joke, because this is quite possibly one of the funniest podcasts I've had the pleasure of recording. Trish is incredible. On top of being an amazing person with just an amazing outlook on life, as someone who's clearly used her struggles to make herself a better version and is now spreading that message online. What makes her so incredible is she has been through all the issues that you would have with someone that is severely overweight or obese in their life. So she's a 31-year-old chef who went from 26 stone, which is about 365 pounds, to 19 stone, which is around 266 pounds in less than a year. And what makes this so remarkable is the fact that this is the first time she's done it the right way. And she is now spreading her message to people who are in a similar position to her, that either overweight or obese and constantly going to yo-yo diets and trying different fad diets, trying to get the weight off quickly. She realized that when she actually found a nutritional plan that worked for her lifestyle and slowly started to exercise more, that was actually the real long-term strategy for losing weight. And what's so incredible about her, if you're following her journey, and if you're not, you need to go do that as soon as you finish listening to this episode. I love her page. She's so funny, but she's also so inspiring, the way that she puts her message across to everyone that's following her on her platform. But after years of self-sabotage, secret eating, yo-yo dieting, she finally decided to try a different approach effectively. This episode is incredible. On top, as I said, of being one of the funniest people I've interviewed, her rawness about her struggles makes this such a compelling listen. If you're overweight or obese and you're feeling like that stage where you're sick and just feel like giving up, then this is an absolute must listen. But if you're also into mindset, overcoming obstacles, or literally just want to laugh out loud for more than an hour, then you're going to love this episode. It went on a little bit longer than normal, to be honest, because I couldn't stop the interview. I lost track of time. I was having so much fun talking with Trish that we ended up rolling over to about an hour and a half in terms of the interview. And from start to finish, it's incredible. I absolutely loved it. And I hope you all enjoyed as much as I enjoyed recording it. We jumped back and forth between a lot of things, and hopefully you're going to get a lot of value in this episode from two perspectives. From Trish coming through her journey and promoting her message about losing weight and dropping body fat the right way. And then I try and interject with some of the kind of the science behind it, or some of the coaching tips. So we kind of come at it from both angles. We speak a lot about things like secret eating, her struggles and failures, a lot of the questions that got sent in via Instagram. This was the only time in, I think, ever that I've had a guest on and I put an Instagram story up and said, any questions for Trish, send in, your questions. And normally I'll get a few. I'll put it up an hour or two before the interview and there might be 50, 60 questions. There was about 100 when I put it up about Trish. So we talked a lot about her mindset, the process of resetting, which is a big thing for anybody, regardless of whether you're overweight or obese, that when you have a bad meal or a bad day, you just go back and reset and don't fall off track just because you've eaten one bad meal, or you've had one crap workout, or you've had one really bad day. So this episode is full of humor, laughs, positivity, energy. I absolutely loved it. So without further ado, here is today's episode with my guest, Trish Lewis, Trisha's Transformation on Instagram. Enjoy. So as I mentioned in the description, I am here today with Trisha's Transformation on social media. Trish, I've been so excited to do this since we connected at FitFix properly. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. Oh my God, I got so nervous there.
Yeah.
That was horrendous.
Just before we went on air, for those of you following Trisha, you know how lively she is, and even before we were talking, I'm like, there's just so much energy in this room right now. It's like, she's like, how weird would it be if I just went really stoic and didn't say anything?
Hello, Brian.
Yeah, that's a one-word answer.
That is all you're getting off me. Goodbye.
Yeah, Trish, for those listening, I talked a little bit about your journey in the description at the start of the episode in the introduction, but for everyone listening, tell them a little bit more about themselves, where you're from, and a little bit of your backstory.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Trisha Lewis. I'm 31 years of age, and I'm from a little village called Kilbenny in County Limerick. My career is I'm the head chef of Jacob's on the Mall in Cork City, and I have 8 sisters. I have a huge family. They're like all warriors, and I'm going to say hello to them now in case I forget. There'll be holy war at home. I live in the middle of the country, and I guess the reason I'm sitting here is because I did an Instagram page to document my weight loss, and it's gone a bit mad since then. Talk us through
because you've got so many followers on your Instagram. Talk us through the start of that journey. Bring us back to like day one.
Kind of. Okay. So I suppose all my life I've gained weight. Consistently. It's the best thing I've ever done. I've never failed at it. I've continued, pile on the pounds, no bothers, away we go. So I think it was grand, I suppose to gain 12 to 20 stone took a lot of work. It took late nights, it took college, it took, just not really caring. Yeah. And then it was the 20 to 26 stone bracket was petrifying. So it literally came on like quicksand. It was just so frightening.
What did you max out at? What was your heaviest?
My heaviest was actually near 27 stone because I got weighed in to book a gastric bypass, and that was the kind of, I suppose, the heaviest recorded. And then when I started the gym, I was at 26. So I lost a little bit of weight for that. Yeah. It took a year and a half to lose, I think it was 7 pounds. It was so difficult. I was so trapped. So then I suppose the start of my journey kind of started maybe in January I suppose it was December. And it was Christmas Day, and my sister had recently had twin boys. So my sister, the naps went wrong. So we'd bring her dinner down to her. So instead of walking the tiny amount down to her, I was like, look, I'll drive. And I got into my dad's car because the gates, whatever had happened with my car was blocked in. There was a load of people home with all the family. And my other sister came with me, and she was expecting. So she hopped in the passenger seat, and I got stuck in the car. So I couldn't turn the wheel. And I remember she kind of tugged me out. God love her. And I just turned to her and I was like, can you please tell none of the girls?
So you got stuck in the car?
Stuck because I was used to my own car. So in a different car I got stuck between, and I couldn't turn the wheel. Yeah. So then I was trying, and the gear stick was squealing, and then eventually I gave up, and I just asked her to not tell any of the lads inside. And I suppose you kind of presume nobody sees you and nobody's going to realise how big it is, So then she was like, I won't. Now I found out afterwards it ruined her Christmas Day, and she went home and she was like bawling, crying, and was like, oh my God, what are we going to do with her? So then in January she had a scan.
What year was this?
This is always so hard because it's just at the end of the year. I'm like, what year was it? 2017. So that was December 2017. Yeah. So then in January 2018 she had asked me to go see the scan of her child because something her husband was doing shift work, so he couldn't make it. So I was like, yeah, cool, no problem. And it was actually there, I think, was a little bit of the light bulb moment for me, because we were sitting in the maternity hospital and the chairs had kind of a lever in between them. Yeah. So I had to put up mine because I couldn't fit in one. It was literally jamming my stomach. It was so sore. So then I was hoping again she wouldn't cop it, and we were chatting away, and then went in for the scan, and it was so lovely, and I heard the heartbeat of the unborn child, and we were like cheering. I was like, go on, Marie, you're having a baby. It was our first baby, and she's the nearest me in age. And it was then when the nurse was the midwife was chatting to her, was when I stepped back, and I was like, oh my, and my heart kind of broke, because I was like, I'm not going to see this kid grow up at all. And I am notoriously the favourite aunt out of every one of them.
Yeah, I can totally see how.
Like when they come in, the kids are like, let's go crazy, and I'm like, oh no, stop jumping on me. But it's just, they love me, like. And I was like, either I'm going to die, or this kid is not going to know Trisha at all, because I knew I was losing who I was. I was so miserable and so depressed. It was frightening, like. So we came out of the little room where the scan was, and I turned around and I was crying, and she was crying. And then she was like, I'm terrified. She was like, I can't enjoy my pregnancy. I'm so scared, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything we can do, Trisha? I need to talk to you. So we started roaring, crying like the two of us. I'd say people were like, oh, those poor girls, they've got terrible news. Yeah. So the nurses in CUMH, we downloaded a diet, we paid for it there, and then we got them to scan off the diet I filled in all the foods I didn't like, loved, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. So we drove home. We went to the drive-through McDonald's because we were starving. So bad. Like when you think about it, I was like this big breakthrough. And then I went to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of the journey that I love explaining to people, that just hurdles every single way. Just keep on going, jump over them, trip in the mud and move on. So we went home and I did what I normally did, completely ignored her. I ignored her WhatsApp messages, just completely blanked her out for 2 or 3 weeks. And then she texts me on February the 5th and my sleep.
Why did you blank her out for the 2
Because that's what I always do. So there would be a moment, like, my sisters are amazing. They tried everything. They tried the good cop, the bad cop, the fitness cop, the healthy eating cop. They were doing diets that they never had to do, but they were just like, hey, like a random diet would come into the WhatsApp, I'm trying this and I'm down 11 pounds. But then I found out afterwards they were trying to subtly, without hurting me, or like they were terrified that they might have hurt me, and I'd close off them completely. So what I used to do was bury my head in the sand and just completely blank them out. So eventually they got awkward enough to stop asking me the question when they seen a few red messages. And it was just easier for me than saying, no, I give up, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Or I'm stuck, or I failed yet again. Do you know, and even though they'd never judged, in my head, I was filtering it that they would be like, oh, we're allergic to her, but they weren't. They were just trying the rest. So I blocked her out, which was brilliant. But by God, she did not give up. No, and just because it worked for Annie, it doesn't mean the rest of them didn't try just as much.
Yeah.
Like they were driving the driving force with a separate WhatsApp group going, go on, Anne-Marie, you seem to be clicking with her.
Yeah.
Just chance it. So she texts me and my sleep was completely gone with, I'm going to say, a good 14 months. I was awake all night, restless, and I think it's when you actually go to sleep, and I think I was afraid of dying because my breathing was gone, and I was like really morbid thoughts like Mum is going to fucking find me. She's also going to kill me for cursing there because Mum will listen to this and she's so good. She's going to be like, show me that podcast now. So then I'd woke up at about 10 to 7 and Marie had sent me a text message and it was like, hey Trish, look, it's February 5th. Is there any way you can make this your month and just try? And normally I always replied and I'd be like, yeah, no bothers at all, I'm going to join the gym there now. And like I often join gyms for 800 euros, sent them the pictures, shut them up, which is, and I had no intention of going in there, but I'd be like, oh, this will quieten them now, a year membership in a random gym. So I texted her back honestly and I said, no, I said, go away, you need to all forget about me. And I give up, and I told her the truth for the first time. Like, terrible for the poor girl, 6 months pregnant, getting this very dramatic message off her sister. And I was like, I just can't do it anymore, Maria. I was like, I can't even think, I hate everything and you all need to move on with your lives. I can't do it anymore. She didn't take that at all. And she was like, cop on, get out of that bed. And she sent me a picture of a little spring lamb and she was like, this is you. Go run around the fields. And I threw the foam of temper across the bed and I was like, she doesn't understand. No one understands it. And then it was literally there and then. I was like, get up. I think it was because I said I give up and I didn't want to live anymore. I was like, I'm done with this. It's horrible being 26 stone. It's so crap. So then I text her about 2 hours later and I was like, hi Marie, I joined the gym. Don't tell any of the girls, let me just do this on my own, see what I can do. So she was like, where are you? I was like, I'm in Cork at a gym. I've joined, I measured, I'm weighed, I'm done. So it was literally that moment of kind of fight or flight. I think it was the moment, and I think it was the moment of ownership that I said, give up, I give up. Like, you know, I wasn't saying, oh, you're all giving up on me now, move on.
Yeah.
It was me going, no, I'm done, I can't. And that's depression. That is 100% depression. Now I can identify it as all that. It wasn't just the weight, it was a load of things. And I had no sleep and I was just so allergic to being who I was. And it's so sad now because I love myself so much now. Like I'm Naomi Campbell right now. Yeah. So I am like strutting down Air Square there, being like, I presume you all know who I am. No, but you know, I love it. It's so different, the world. But that was the moment. So I drove up the road and I'd rang kind of a few gyms and one answered, and that was Denny's in Douglas. And I was like, look, how much is this? And I said to the girl, look, I have a load of weight to lose. And she didn't even like stutter. She just went, oh yeah, cool, no matters. This is the packages. This is what we do. We do these weigh-ins. Don't worry about it. And then I arrived in at the counter and she was like, oh my God, are you the girl that was just on the phone? And I was like, yeah. I was like, look, and I had a load of money. I felt like you and Julia Roberts going, I have all this money, just take it. And I had a load of cash and I was like, look, can you help? But I was panicking. And I remember there was a lady behind me and I had a big hole in my jumper, which shows how much I did not care. Yeah. And she kind of touched it and she goes, oh, there's a hole in your jumper. And I turned around and I ate her. I was like, get away from me. And I would never do that to anyone.
Yeah.
But it was just the feeling of even someone touching off my arm. I was like so upset. So then the lady at the gym was like, look, no problem at all, this is Monday. What we'll do is we'll sign you up, we'll get you started, and we'll book you in for a weigh-in measurement next Monday. And I broke down bawling crying. I was like, you can't. I said, you can't leave me walk out now. So I don't know when I come back in on Monday. I was like, can I do it right now? So thankfully the girl who's now my personal trainer was there and she was like, come on. She brought me into her room and it was there and then. She weighed me. I didn't even care when I heard 26 stone. I know it sounds silly. You should be like, oh my God, I need to lose weight. I didn't care. And she asked me what I wanted. I said, I just want to be happy. That's it.
Yeah.
And then I found out afterwards that she said it was one of the most depressed clients she's ever met, that she spoke with them afterwards going, I don't know, are we going to get her out of it? And then she, like, the tape didn't go around me. So there was certain parts she didn't measure because she was like, look, we will get there and all this. So basically she just said, you can do it. But she said it's going to take a lot of work to get you out of this scenario. Are you ready for it? And I was kind of like, look, I don't know. I failed everything in the past. And I was so honest with her.
Yeah.
And I think that is the key. And then she was like, all you have to do is come into me 3 times a week for 30 minutes. When you walk in that door, leave everything outside that door, no matter how much crap is in your head, and just give me 30 minutes and we'll sort it. Yeah. Do you know? And that was it. And then since then, that's Emma, who's been she's like a guardian angel. She takes no crap from me.
Yeah.
I'm like, Emma, I'm too fat to do that. She's like, no, you're too fat. But yet now you put up with it. And I'm like, I don't want to do a deadlift. But she's amazing and she's there and she's strict enough for me and she's realistic.
Yeah.
She's like, what are you giving out about? You've lost 7.5 stone. And I'm like, oh, I want to lose 8.5. And she's like, what if you gain 7.5? And then I'm like, okay, I'll shut up. But she's amazing. And it's just, I think I found someone that really, I needed. She was strict enough for me, but yet caring. Do you know, like if someone's too caring, then I'd be like,
take advantage of it.
Oh, totally. I'd be bawling, crying at squat rack looking at her and she'd be like, I'm not making eye contact. And I'm like, I'm tired. So, and that was the start of my journey completely. And if anyone tells you that, so we started immediately. It was the next morning.
Yeah.
Went in, and if anyone tells you that the first 2-3 weeks are the easiest, lies. You do not want to go in. You're sore. You can't sit on the toilet. You can't go upstairs. You can't put your bra on. Everything hurts. It's like there's fire inside your body. But then that's when it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that kind of get over the first 2 or 3 weeks because, and that's what she'd said to me. I remember the first day they'd asked me to put my, like, they were checking my range of motion, and it was 0. Like they asked me to put my hand over my head, and I remember I was bawling, crying, and there was a mirror in the studio, and for the first 3 months I trained without looking at it because I hadn't looked in the mirror in about 2 or 3 years. I hated the sight of myself, and I remember crying mad because she was asking me to kind of lunge forward while holding on to a chair. Do you know, I was just checking everything, and then it was kind of maybe 3 days later she was like, look, if a car fell on someone you loved, you'd be able to lift that off that person. With adrenaline, you'd be able to get it off you. Do you know, but if I told you to lift a car, you wouldn't do it. So it's all to do with your mindset. And that literally got me through the first few weeks. I was like, if a car fell on Ma'am, I'd lift it off her. So I was like, pick up the 2 kilo dumbbells. But I was just trying to stop myself from changing who I was because it was easier to be miserable and depressed. Which is really, and anyone with weight who's listening will understand exactly where I'm coming from. That you just do not want to change because it's easier than facing the reality of what you've done. Do you know?
I love... It's so funny because you say that people with weight, but nearly anybody can connect with that message on there's a part of ourselves that we're like not really confident with this part of myself. I'd rather just ignore it. You know, you said so many things there, and I'm fortunate I've never been in that position. But you know, 26 stone in and around that, I've never been there.
It's an exclusive club. There's a few of us in there.
There is, but you're pioneering the change for people, which is what I love so much about your message. But the self-sabotaging side, it shows up for different ways for different people. One of the things I want to pull back on, and I'm going to jump around a lot in today's episode just because, you know, there's so many things I want to cover. But you mentioned nothing changed until you took ownership of it. What do you think was that catalyst moment? Because obviously your sisters have been trying to help for so long,
years.
What was because was it literally the text? Was it a message? What made that shift where you go, this is on me now? How did that happen?
Because I knew I'd gone too far. I knew there was no more gain a stone and get away with it, as I'd progressively done all my life and kind of go, God, I'm getting a bit bigger there now. I knew everything was shutting down for me. Yeah. My knees were shutting down. Like there was sores under my stomach. I was nearly like an infection. It was just,
for people listening, just to give context for those of you that are unfamiliar with where you're at. What's your weight now?
My weight, I started off at 26 stone. I'm now 18 and a half. Yeah, so delighted. Yeah,
it's amazing. Like,
and I feel like I'm like 8 stone or whatever the ideal weight is, and people say I feel fantastic. And even when I was at 19 and a half, 20 and a half, 21 and a half, this is the exact feeling I had the whole way through. So I'm not waiting till the end to be this, woohoo, I'm happy. Not a hope. I'm doing it now.
That's what I love. And that's so visceral off your energy.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm happy now. I'm owning that I'm making myself better and this is my journey. And I think that's why I connect to you. It's why people connect to you. It's like, it's nearly impossible not to.
Because I think you have this idea in your head that, oh, you're fat, you shouldn't be happy. Because I think that's what is sold to people, that, oh, right, let's change you now because you're fat or you've weight or you need to bulk up and stuff. But why I think we should change it that, you know, you need to do this, but be happy while you're doing it, and then eventually it'll be great. But there's no need to change for the better because you feel negative. You should still feel positive. Do you know, if someone is at 26 stone, they're listening to this now, get over it. Like, it's actually fine. Don't worry about it. The damage is done, and all you got to do is fix it. Like, and that's what someone had said to me in the restaurant I work in. It was a doctor, and he was like, if I sat in front of you and I said, do you want cancer or do you want fat? What would you pick? I was like, oh my God, fat.
Yeah.
Do you know? And he was like,
great perspective.
cop on.
Yeah.
He was like, Jesus. And I was like, yeah, grand, I lost a stone and a half. And he was like, you want to keep going? But I was like, do you know? But it was just, he was dead right. When you look at the grand, and then on the flip side, I also know that it's annoying to hear someone going, just get up and do it.
Yeah.
When it feels like there's lead in your shoes and you can't figure a way out of it.
What kept you, because you said those first 2 or 3 weeks were very difficult, obviously, the fire in your muscles. What kept you going? Because the thing is, in the first 2 or 3 weeks, as you said, you start to enjoy it more, but motivation is something that comes in so often on your platform. I've been asked it 50 times with the questions. I had to scroll through all the motivation.
Go on the Transformers.
Yeah, I love it.
They in those questions.
Yeah, but what, because I'll come back to what keeping you motivated now, and I have an idea from just knowing you, but those, after that 2 or 3 week period, what kept you motivated? Did you keep just focusing on the process? Did you use your network of people around you? What did that look like?
A few of those things. So I think number one, personal training, definitely, because I kind of handed over the responsibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was such a big task to take on that if I said, right, I have 14 stone to lose, not a hope. That's 2 humans, not a
Yeah.
So I made a deal with myself that I would go do my 3 days a week, day by day. That was it. I did not look ahead. And that's when I found my motivation changes, when I started looking, going, in 4 months' time now I'll be doing, and I started getting a bit cocky. Yeah. So it's day by day, literally every day I tried it. And then I remember after the first 3 days, I literally had made a decision, no, I'm not going back in. And it was when I went into a restaurant and I had chicken wings and I was doing this sabotage thing and I had 3 great sessions and I was sitting there with a big bowl of chicken wings. I was like, I'm not going in. And then slowly but surely it's over the Sunday and the Monday, because I did it on a Tuesday, I could just hear the kind of, well done, Trish, keep it going. You know, you can do this, and imagine what this is going to be like in 6 months. And I started listening for the first time ever, because normally I blame trainers. They were shocking and, you know, they hurt me and they looked at me weird. Anything to get out of a gym, I was like, you know, you're creeps. And I'd walk out. But they were told, like, and I've walked out of personal training sessions, roaring crying before, where a trainer's been like, please come back in, because we can't help you in the car, we can help you here. But I'm like, no, I'll go now because I'm only a hindrance. And that's a kind of a demon, I think, that gets into your head, kind of get out of it. So what kept me going would have been personal training, day by day. You cannot, Rome is literally not built in a day. You can't look ahead because it's too frightening. And definitely my sisters, you know, because then after kind of week 2, I kind of set up, you know, I put into the WhatsApp group, hey guys, just chancing this, don't put any pressure. And they were like, no problem, well done, Trish. But they'd all known privately, you know, they'd all been texting each other. And then it was that. And then it was, I suppose, the weigh-ins. Obviously at the start, the weight goes down quicker because I have more water to lose and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was just kind of that. And then I suppose I started taking videos in the gym 2 months in, and that was a huge moment for me then, because I was kind of taking them to prove to Mum I was going. Yeah. Because I've done that before, where I pretended to have DOMs to my sister, and she said it was the most upsetting thing to see me walk through. I was like, oh, my legs are so achy. And she'd known I'd been at home, and she was like, what do we do here with this psychopath? Like, she's going around pretending she's got lactic acid, and then hopped into the car, and I was like, fooled her. Yeah. She was even fooling myself. Yeah. You know, so that kind of thing. So I started taking the videos, and that helped then. And then I started kind of coming out of the kind of fog of absolutely, I'm going to say, hatred. And then I looked at the video one evening with Mum, and I was like, oh, I'm actually really proud of that. Yeah. And that was the moment, a new chapter for me then. So at the start, I think you just have to go day by day and remember that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be the hardest thing you'll ever do in your entire life. Yeah. But by God, it'll be worth it. Just keep going at it. When the going gets tough, you have to get tougher. Get over it, wipe the floor with it, and just stop crying, because it's better to be sweating than crying at home. That's it.
Yeah, and you have the choice. Like,
You have the choice, and you can get up and you can do it. And I know it's easier said than done. I can hear. And if anyone's there, I've been there. I've been 26 stone, and I can't emphasize how much I understand how you can't do it, but you can. Just change the negative way you've been dealing. Like, nothing has happened for you in the past. All your thinking hasn't worked. It's made you get to this weight. So just flip it a small bit and go, we'll try it for 6 weeks. And if you haven't lost any weight in 6 weeks, message me and tell me I was totally wrong.
yeah.
Totally wrong.
Mindset is everything. Like the way you see it, you can tell that shift from fooling yourself, making sure everyone around you is like, yeah, I'm going to the gym, I'm sore. As you said, you're only fooling yourself. But that's a mindset shift. Just to jump backwards, you mentioned just at the very start about how the weight came on. When did is being overweight something you were from an early age? Did that develop more in teenage years later?
Pudgy, I suppose. Do you know, I would have been kind of puppy fat. I would have been a well-insulated kid, but I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have been that, oh my God, look at that poor kid, it's huge.
Yeah.
I would have always had a little bit, weight doesn't really run in my family, my sisters, but then again, they all run marathons and they work hard at it as well. So maybe if they kind of took my approach of smoking fags and having the crack, they might have been a bit different. But I suppose, all my life I would have been pudgy. And then, I would have always had it actually. Because I remember being called fat when I was about 8 or 9 and I was like, what?
Yeah.
The hell did they just call me? And then I kind of realised I was different to other girls in school. Actually, one moment was when I poked one of my friends in class and I was like, what the hell was that? It was a rib cage and I was like, oh my God, I don't have that. And I remember being so conscious and I was like, Avril, can I poke you again? And I drew another dig into her side. And that's just a really big memory I have of going, oh God, I'm fatter than her,
Yeah.
But then it kind of went really wrong, I suppose. Secondary school, then I was about 16 stone. But no one ever bullied me. I don't have a story, Brian. Do you know how people have traumatic childhoods or something that makes them get that obese? I don't. I had a great childhood. Loved my life. And I never got bullied. And I think I was always loud and had great crack and nobody ever kind of... And I think that was a defense mechanism as well at the start. It was kind of like, right, let's get straight at them now. Make them all laugh. So they don't go, you're fat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, it's easier to nip it now and make the fat joke. But... people were just kind as well. I was very lucky with who was around. And then college, that's where I went wrong completely.
Was that a combination of smoking, drinking, food?
Not caring. And I suppose then going back to childhood, I never did sports because I was a little bit more conscious then. And I think it was a lot of secret eating. Like when I've done the last year, I haven't done any counselling or therapy or anything like that. I'm trying to work it out myself as much as I can. And then anything that I'm not sure, I'd be like, hey, does anyone know the answer to this? Why I did this? I think it was a lot of secret eating. So I was running up to my nana's house and I'd have a big dinner up with her and then I'd run down to Mam and say, oh, I had nothing. Yeah. So it wasn't like Mam was feeding the house with frozen pizzas. Like there was 11 of us in the family. It was all like pot of stew, spuds, glass of milk. It was really healthy food the whole time from the garden out the back. Like Mam literally there was no... like crisps in the press because they wouldn't have lasted. It would have been divided well between 11 of us. So it was a lot of secret kind of sneaky eating that Mam never copped. And that's why that's definitely the start of the weight gain, 100%.
And am I right in saying that over that period from say college to, that transformation catalyst moment, you had obviously tried several different approaches.
Everything.
What comes to mind first? What was the first one you tried? Was it a bar? Was it a shake? Was it a...
I did lipotriene. Which works. It does work. You lose your weight. End of. But I don't think it's not sustainable because I lost 5 stone. That was the total, but I gained back 8 within a year. That's
the problem with them. I've spoken on the podcast in the past of the problem with bars and shake diets that they do work. That's the problem. We just before we went on air, I was like, when I hear personal trainers and fitness people like they don't work, I'm like, no, they do. That's the problem. Yeah. It's just that they don't work long term.
Because I think my sister was getting married in July, and I did them in March. So for like nearly 3 months solid, I literally had 3 shakes, bottle of water. That was it. Not even a bat and carrot, nothing. I just was so in the zone because I wanted to feel good for the wedding. So then I came off lipotriene kind of to maybe the week before hen night. And then I was like, you know what, I'll do another 3 days because it becomes very addictive, that kind of just, I'll get another 2 pounds off there and that's all. And we went over to London for her hen night and it was frightening. I remember getting a bottle of Magners and I nearly fell off the chair. I was like, I got so lightheaded, so sick. So I had to go up to the room, lie down, then I came down and I drink. I would drink under the table. I have great crack in a night out. Yeah. But sure, I was like, like a freak in the corner. I was like, eyes were rolling in my head. I couldn't get the feeling. It was the worst feeling ever. So I went straight on. I think I had 3 bottles of cider, and I was the drunkest person then. Like I was, and they were like, God, is she sick or something? But by the time our wedding came around, my dress didn't fit me that I had brought.
What was that time period between the
4 weeks?
4 weeks.
Yeah. So I'd gone back on regular eating, and the minute you put food back in, your scales are just going to go up. So it's a huge, like, your mind is destroyed from it.
Yeah, but that's actually my biggest issue with any sort of diet that's a massive calorie restriction and is sold as the silver bullet, is the mental negative, because when you go lose 5 stone and put on 8, like what was your kind of thought process after that?
Miserable.
Yeah,
absolutely miserable. Failure, just so upset that, because you think you failed when in fact it was actually the whole system of it shouldn't have been happening in the first place. But I think that's why it works, because when you're dealing with weight, you're so desperate. You want any answer, any quick fix, anything you can possibly get your hands on to do it. And that's what happened. It was just misery. And I really, if anyone's listening, just try good food, try exercise, try water, good bit of sleep. And I remember I was here this before and I'm like, oh, you don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking from a book? From experience, do this. Just try this. Forget about all your... Like, I'd booked a gastric bypass. I'd done Slimming World, let's say, about 70 times. And I think Slimming World is a brilliant plan. I think it shows people carbohydrates, proteins, fats. And I think if you take the proper stuff from it, it's amazing.
And the community aspect.
100% and the support, but it never worked for me because I knew I could have unlimited curly whirlies if I just send them. And so I was picking the wrong things. Like, I remember my first day of Slimming World, straight to the back, and I was like, chow mein is the best points, or the best sins. So in my head, straight away, I'd figured out the bad food before I'd figured out the good food. So that's why it didn't work for me, but I do think it's a brilliant plan for anyone who's starting out to get accountability, but kind of just skip past Kit Kats and stuff. So that's what I was searching for. I was searching for a bag of chips. I was like, 24 sins if I have nothing that day now. And that doesn't work for me. I need to be healthy. That's it.
That thought process of going straight towards the curly whirlies or straight towards the chocolate, was it a case of you had the knowledge, you're like, I know this food is bad, I know this food is good, I'm just going to seek out the curly whirly?
Yeah,
was that a case?
And I think that's the part that I'm beginning to understand is I don't think I was ever addicted to bad food, because if I was, I would have had to, this transformation wouldn't have happened. I really don't. I think what I was addicted to was that overwhelming feeling of being full. So you feel sick, you feel disgusting, you feel how you think you look, so it matches your mentality. So when you'd go in, I'd be like, Joanne, I'll get 2 starters and a main course, a bowl of chips, I'll have dessert. But even though I really don't like dessert that much, but it was that feeling of kind of roasting, sweating, rotten feeling is what I think, but definitely what I craved. So, because if I was addicted to that food, I wouldn't have been able to try. Like, I prefer healthy food. Would you believe that? I much prefer fish. I much prefer vegetables. All of that. But I was addicted to the feeling of feeling like crap. And I think now I'm addicted to the feeling of feeling great.
That's interesting. Well, let's just park that there for a second, because that's not something I thought I've never heard it phrased like that.
That's because I made it up. This is not scientifically based.
But it's interesting though.
Don't rob it, anyone.
But there's definitely people that it will connect with. But talk me through that psychology. What that feeling of being addicted to the fullness.
Yeah, I think it's the grossest feeling ever. And even 3 weeks ago we went for lunch.
I know that feeling. I think that just to give context, I think anyone listening who's overeaten 4 tubs of Ben and Jerry's, which I've done, and then you're just like, oh my God, it's relative.
And guilt and shame and everything. Because I think, like even a few weeks ago I went for lunch and I don't know, I probably had too many roast potatoes, but I was so sad at the meal, and my sister was like, are you all right? And I was like, I feel like old Trish. Yeah. And then it clicked to me that that's what I was craving. So I think it's the feeling, when you walk, when you're at morbidly obese, you walk down the street and you're like, please don't look at me, please don't call me fat, please don't shame me, please don't hurt me, because I'm hurting myself enough.
Yeah.
So then you're like, you kind of get past all that and you go to a restaurant and you're like, oh, normal. Now let's feel how I presume all those people think I look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a really messed up mentality part, but you're craving feeling like crap because you know you look like crap. End of. That's it. So you don't take care of yourself. I wasn't combing my hair. I was struggling to even shower. And that sounds so foreign to me now, because I'm like, get up every morning, hop in the shower, and I'm like singing mad. But I couldn't fit into my shower at home. Literally couldn't get in the door. So, and I'd said this like a few times, I'd pop myself in. Do you know, it was so bad. So even to go for a shower was a huge chore. So on my day off, I was like, no, wouldn't even come into my head to do it. So then obviously when I had to work, I was like, oh, like it took maybe an hour of trying to think of it for me to do it. And that's how scary it can be. To even brush your teeth is just not a thing. So therefore you feel like crap all the time.
And it gets
so
reinforced consistently.
Helps you.
Yeah.
And it just goes, all right, no, you're dead right. You look like crap, you feel like crap, you smell like crap, so let's make you feel more like crap.
Yeah.
So you kind of just punish yourself that way.
Do you have any idea what that is?
No idea. I don't know. I think it's just, well, definitely actually it's to do with what you're talking to yourself about. Because I would have spent all the time, and like Mam's like, are you happy now, or is this fake? I'm like, yes, this is real.
Yeah.
But all the time in my head I'd be like laughing along, and then in my head I'm like, oh my God, he's looking at how fat I am. Oh my God, this is disgusting. I feel like crap. And you're in your head going, you're ugly, you're disgusting. And it's a horrible voice in your head consistently. That's why I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up and go, oh, like sometimes I didn't want to wake up, and other times I was afraid to wake up. Do you know that I was afraid of dying in my sleep, and sometimes I literally didn't want to wake up. It would have been easier. Like I was go to sleep with that thought, being like, maybe it might be easier. And then I'd wake up and go, oh, again. Do you know, but I think and all the food and everything is connected with that. And the feeling that, you know, people judge fat people.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think they do, because I think I've wronged a lot of people going, they stared at me going down the street. Yeah, people have showed a fat to me in wide load and leave them off. If they just me now, I'd be like middle finger and like, beat the bulge, whatever. I'd roar back at them. But at the time, you're so vulnerable, because you've a bully on your shoulder the whole time, so you're weak. You just can't like fathom it. So I think it's the negative thoughts and the food and everything compiles it all together and makes it impossible to get out of obesity, unless you switch that mind and go, it hasn't worked by now, let's just chance this way, a little bit of self-love, and now it's brilliant.
I love because you mentioned earlier the demon, you mentioned earlier the person on your shoulder, the negative self-talk.
He's an ass.
Yeah, I've the same fucker on mine. Like it's what gets me
probably
through.
Cousins.
Yeah, that's it. It's like just leave it, just be quiet. But they're there. That negative voice is there. It's just everyone's is different, and it's I always think of it like a volume button.
Yeah.
In some people, it's ramped up to the top volume, and other people
screaming like.
Yours. What is it like now?
Silent, quiet as a mouse.
Does it still pop up?
Yes.
Yeah.
It can still pop up at the most unexpected moments, when I'm like, oh my God, did you just call yourself fat and ugly in your head? And I'm like, and then I nip it. But some days then it might pop up, and like even last Monday, and I had to text my sisters, I was like, lads, I don't know what's after happening, I'm after hitting a roadblock here, I'm struggling, I have the podcast on Thursday, and I feel like I have nothing to say, because it popped up in my head going, what are you doing that for? Like, you haven't lost a few pounds here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, are you and your relative? Silliness. And then, like, Thursday this morning, I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Get back into the back seat if you want to come, put on your safety belt. Or go shut up. You know? And then I think that's the side of obesity that I want to explain is, I would look at you and I would presume you'd never have anyone on your shoulder. So you're ripped, you have a podcast, you're successful, you're fitness, you're so motivated, Brian. So you become very selfish and you think no one is suffering like you are. But in fact, every single person, if whatever size they are, have to deal with this every single day.
Yeah.
So I think when you come out of that kind of, I'm going to call it, I would say I was very selfish, because I didn't realise the damage I was doing to everyone around me. I'd be like, look, there's my sister now, and she's size 8, and look at her with her lovely metabolism, and if I was born 6, I'd have got her metabolism.
Yeah.
But in fact, she works really hard, and you know, and everyone has their own things, so you just presume that you're the only one suffering in the world. And that self-pity brigade, along with all the food, is all the contribution factors to what I think led to my severe obesity.
I absolutely love that, and I love the just silence. Just tell if your negative self-talk wants.
That's a bully, and the best thing about bullies is bullies are cowards.
Yeah.
And the minute you tell on a bully in school, the teacher nips it, and the bully's like bawling, crying, don't tell his mum.
Yeah.
So just nip it and just tell it go away, give it a break, send it off there on a holiday in Airbnb, and just tell it get lost, because it's there and it's in every single one of them. You've just said it's in you, it's in me, it's probably in everyone. Do you know?
I'm curious, because it may be slightly different. Sometimes, depending on how strong my mindset's feeling that day, that bully, that demon, that sometimes it can be very serving, in the sense that I'll use it as a right, I'll fucking show you. Like, does that ever come to you, or are you better just quieting it down and be like,
punch
right,
it in the face.
punch it in the face.
I can't even leave it in a little bit because I know that at any moment I can slip back and go back to what I was.
Yeah.
So I can't leave any of, and I'm not saying that old Trish is gone. I actually, to be honest, I hated her for so long, and it was weird talking about myself in the third person, but you know, I didn't realise how strong she actually was.
Yeah.
So now I'm beginning to have a little bit more respect, you know, because for so long I was so mean to myself. And now I'm kind of like, oh, she wasn't actually that bad. She was kind of cute, like, at that size. But I can't leave that team and get back in. Because I know it can weaken me like that. However strong I am and however motivating people find me, I have to be so selfish. And if I feel like he's creeping back in, then I need to nip it there and then, because it's like an infection. It'll get back in and it'll win. And that's what's happened to me all my life. When I've successfully started to lose weight and then I leave him back in. And I'm like, oh, deal with it.
Yeah.
So I've collectively, we worked out, lost and gained 32 stone over the years. Between diets, gaining, losing, 32 stone is the figure of what I remember. I've done so many diets.
That's amazing. And what's for everybody listening, the reason I love your transformation so much, and you've documented this whole journey on Instagram. Like, if you're listening to this and you're not following your Instagram, like, you need to go do that, like, right now. Like, it's unbelievable. I'll be linking it in the show notes for everybody listening. Like, it's just so inspiring. Like, it's one of those things that I follow it, and I'm just like, oh, it lights me up seeing your progress. But what are you doing now with training, nutrition, hydration? There's obviously a complete sustainability factor to it now. What does it look like, say, the last year, the last 6 months even? What's your normal training protocol? What's your normal eating protocol?
We were, just go back to the first 40 weeks was 3 times a week for 30 minutes a week, no extra training. Literally when 30 minutes is up, I was like, I'm leaving now, we're done, see you tomorrow. That was
it for the week.
That was it, done. There was no extra walks. There was nothing like that, because I knew if I threw too much on myself, I'd get overwhelmed and go, right, I'm off to McDonald's. I'm done with the lot of it. Good luck to you. I didn't even like McDonald's. I just found it as a default because bloody drive-through. So handy to be secretly in your car. Like, I used to pretend there was someone in the car with me sometimes. And I'm like, what did Sandra order? And I'd be like, a double cheeseburger. And I'm, you know, like that kind of, because I was ordering so much for that disgusting feeling. And I pretended it was, what did she order at home? I think it was 7 McFlurries. You know, and I don't even like ice cream. I'm like, and your one was like, I'd say your one was like, oh, this Trisha one again, like spinning around her bolo. I mean, like, there's loads at home, big party. You're not invited because there's no one there. So I think, so that's how to break it down. The first 40 weeks, I lost 85 pounds and an hour and a half a week of personal training. Nothing else. So an hour and a half a week for 40 weeks, done. Then obviously you control your food. Eat like your life depends on it, because it does. I love that saying. I'm like, go on, that's the way to do it. So then I suppose, regular breakfast, was never having breakfast, was mainly because I was so tired from not sleeping the night before. I kind of leave it as late as possible to get up, getting out of bed at like 1 o'clock. Oh, I hated it. It was so depressing. And like getting ready for work, getting into the car, stopping at a garage on the way up, getting a big roll, wedges, peck crisps. And like, I don't even like fizzy drinks, but towards the end I was drinking Coke, because I was like, might as well, no. Yeah, I'll just have a can of Coke.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
I've done all this now. I might as well throw the baby out with the bathwater. Out she goes. We'll might as well destroy my whole life. Smoking heavily. That was another part that I've given up, thank God. And then it was, so I'd be so full from that, I might need for 9 or 10 hours. So what I've done is, I'm not religiously every 3 hours. It's just regular eating patterns the whole time. So my nutrition is 3 main meals a day. I haven't cut out spuds. I haven't cut out I've kind of cut out pasta because it makes me feel really sad. I don't know why. Just kind of that full feeling.
Is that the pasta, or have
pasta?
You don't have like a gluten sensitivity or anything?
Oh my God, no, not at all. I love bread. But whatever it is in pasta, I'm like, that's so sad. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I can't go to Italy. I'm gutted because I hate pizza then. So I think it's 3 meals a day with lovely little snacks in the middle. And like, snacks to me are boring. If you say apple, I'm like, ugh. So I've carrots and hummus, and I've pineapple and grapefruit, and, you know, rice cakes, corn cakes with peanut butter. So I think the nutrition side is just controlling it step by step, taking out any processed foods where I can, and if it's on a shelf and goes off after 2 years, I'm not having it. End of. I want to see things rotting on a shelf to know that it'll break down in my body faster. I guess I'm lucky. I kind of did a little bit of nutrition in college. And then my training at the moment is 4 times a week for a half an hour with 2 20-minute brisk walks. That's it. Because again, I know I'm still at a fragile state. If I overwhelm myself, I'll be like, oh, I'm done now, let's go away. And then what was the other question? Water. I was kind of doing 3.5 litres a day, and then I was failing at it. So I was getting kind of sad going into bed. So now I've reduced down to 2 litres.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start opening it again. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go gradual. So whenever I feel like I'm failing, I pull it back a small bit,
Instead
make
of-
it way more doable. Yeah, instead of going, I'm done. Goodbye.
There was a time, and I love that philosophy of, right, that's not working.
Yeah.
Let's not throw everything out now. Let's take a step back and go, what is achievable? There was obviously a time when that wasn't your default.
No.
What would it normally, if you had a setback 2-3 years ago where you'd make an attempt at something and then you'd have a failure or you'd have some form of obstacle, would it literally be like, right, I'm going to McDonald's, I'm done.
Done.
And that's how it looked.
Yeah, done. And I would kind of justify it to myself, going, yeah, you know, you're not able, just...
Is that how the self-talk was?
Yeah, you're not able, give it up. And then maybe 3 or 4 days you're going, oh, look now, fatty, give it up again. And then it would get more and more aggressive and more sinister.
Yeah.
Because at the start it was a lovely little demon. Going, oh, jeez, Trish, take a break, bet.
Yeah.
You're wrecked from your 3 days. You don't need to swim even though you brought your goggles, your hat, your suit, everything. You spend so much money. And that's the thing, you keep spending money to try and get an answer.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, the next day it's kind of like, oh, you give up yesterday, sure, shock horror. And then it becomes way more sinister. And I think that's the part that's not spoken about. That it's yourself that's doing it yourself. There's no one else inside your head.
Yeah.
Like literally, you're creating your own haunted house. Get out of it, you know, and get your house up. Just
Yeah.
colours and balloons, and nobody's allowed in your front door unless they're nice and respectful to yourself. And you have to nip it, because I really think it's the main reason I definitely went wrong, because I listened to myself too much.
Yeah, like I'm a firm believer in the Buddha quote that your biggest enemy lives between your 2 ears.
Oh, that's very cool.
It's so true. Like for that whatever label you put on it, your enemy is between your 2 ears. When I mentioned obstacles or failures, because of where you're at now, and I love your approach, make it sustainable.
Yeah.
What can I do? How many training
I'm
sessions
not
can I
qualified.
do?
I have no idea, but this is how I'm just breaking it down myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or people that haven't had that problem, but they connect, because we all have that, as you said, that self-talk. You know, I put a lot of my vulnerability out there in the books that I write, podcasts I do, for that reason, because I'm like, oh, it's not just me feeling this way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, and it's not just you know, and that's why it's so important to talk about these things. When it comes to a failure, and you've had your share, no more than me, no more than everybody.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite failure? Like any particular, maybe a diet or a program where you're like, that was an absolute stinker at the time, but I've since learned from it? Any particular favorite failure that you have, that your mindset is either stronger now, or your philosophy towards nutrition or training is different now because that was such a bad moment in time?
Probably I don't know if this is a failure, but it was probably the gastric bypass.
Yeah.
It's a huge part. I'd met somebody and I think she lost like 10 stone like a month. I was mental. I was like, you look amazing, you look incredible. What is this? Tell me how you've done this. And it was a gastric bypass in Belgium. So straight away I got onto it. Like, it's amazing how quick you can go for, and gastric bypass by no means is a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things to decide. I'm going to go over, cut my stomach open, and and I hate people who say it's a quick fix.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right fix, because I think you just need to give yourself a small bit of a chance. And if you can get up out of bed to book the gastric bypass, you can go for a walk and try that for 6 or 7 weeks. But if someone said that to me, then I'd be like, back off, you know, and you become aggressive and argumentative, and I'm not like that at all. I would be debatable. Like, I would always be like, oh, I'd stand my ground always.
Yeah.
But you'd become mean about it. So I'd arrange it through email, and even I read back the emails now and I'm like, God, you should have read them, Trisha. And it was like just a list of numbers, dates, these are free, when would you like to book? So you'd put a €500 deposit down, and then you got to meet with somebody in Dublin in like a shopping centre, which is so terrible. And I was in there for like 10 minutes, and my boss said she'd come up with me, and when she came out she was like, is that done? I was like, yeah, it's booked, I paid with the check, it's done. I handed over $4,000 there and then. And she was like, Trisha, I'm not happy with that now at all. Like, what? And I was like, stop it. Leave me alone. I'm doing it. Straight away, fight. Like, get away from me. I'm doing this. So all my family were like, oh, my Lord, what is she going? So I was like, I don't want anyone to come to Belgium with me. I'm doing it myself. You know, you want to close everyone off. And then thankfully, my sister had met me. I just bought a new car in February of 2017. And it was booked for March. And so then just go on. Then the December is when I got stuck behind the car. And the following year is when I started. So it still took me a year after not going to the gastric bypass to help, to get myself help. So, and I remember I met her and she was just bawling, crying again. I was like, please don't do this. Have you thought this through? Can you not just get up off your arse and go in and go to the gym?
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, how dare she, like, and then I started bawling, crying, and I was like, I'm terrified. I don't want to do it at all. Like, it's scary. And I approached them and they were like, look, you paid your deposit, you're not getting your money back. But I think that failure cost me $4,500.
Yeah.
It was the best $4,500 I've ever spent in my entire life, because I've read up on the side effects now, and it's frightening. It's frightening. And the part was I had joined this Facebook forum group, which I think are brilliant, but sometimes they shouldn't be there for certain things. I think they need to be way more regulated, because I was following it and all these people were doing these before and after pictures, and they were like, oh my lord, it's incredible, and they felt amazing, and they were kind of bigging it up, going into the doctors for the B12 injections, and I was like, that's doable, I'll just go into Declan early and I'll get a B12 off him. And now afterwards I met my doctor and he was like, Trisha, what the hell? He was like, you avoided me for 6 years because I had told you were too fat. I was like, yes I did, Declan. But he was like, he's brilliantly honest, but he was like, you realise how dangerous that operation was. Now I'm still on that forum and I keep it on my Facebook, and it's after taking such a sinister turn. Hair is falling out, no energy, reversals are happening, stomach bends are bursting. So the same people that were delighted 2 years ago, it has unfortunately changed for them. And sometimes I read it and I'm like, thank God, do you know. So at the start it was an unrealistic form for me to drive or to go on.
I think that I love that. Like, it's I try and reframe that anytime I spend money on something and then for whatever reason it doesn't go through. I'm like, that was a good cost lesson. That was well worth.
Yeah. And I remember turning on my sister 2 months later going, well, if you let me get the gastric bypass, I wouldn't be in this position. So I turned it back on her, even though I decided not to go.
Yeah.
And she was like, look, I'm sorry, I thought, you know, and I was hurting all of them. And I feel so guilty for that, because we are the closest family. I make it seem like we're this big fighting family about fatness. And, you know, we're like a crowd of penguins. We love each other so much and we just flap around and have the laugh. But I remember turning to her and putting it back on her when you made me stop doing this, and I would have been so much happier. But it was all me that was doing it. All me. I was not exercising. I was overeating. I was the one eating in private. And the food that you eat in secret, you're wearing it out in public. So there's nothing you're getting away with it. Nothing.
I love that line. The food you're eating in private, you're wearing it out in public.
Yeah.
I'm definitely working that into the description somewhere. Trish, there was a couple of questions sent in. And I say a couple. There was a lot of questions sent in when I put up on my Instagram story. I said, Trish is coming on podcast. Any questions? Thinking I'd get 10 or 20. I only put it up for a couple of hours before, and there was just an infinite amount. So I pulled out a few. You know, your Transformers were going crazy. They were like, ask her this. So I have a few here. I'm just going to pull them at random. Run Like Mama sent in a question saying, would you consider going into the wellness industry full time?
Oh, that's a brilliant. I don't know. I think there was a reason I hit 26 stone. And I know that's a very optimistic way of looking at my depression and being miserable. But I think there was a reason, because I think there's too many people suffering, whether it's a pound or 40 stone, it doesn't matter. So yes, not full time, because I adore my job as a chef. But I think there is something, I don't know what part of the industry, but I think I'll be able to slot in somewhere and kind of with a no knowledge approach affect people a little bit, because I think what people are not understanding is it's okay, you've just gained weight, you haven't killed anyone. The only person you're killing is yourself. Yeah, you can change it around, like pull the trigger back and just turn the gun around and just, you know, go shooting somewhere else. But don't be at yourself. But yes, I do think I would love to be involved in it somehow, and it's something I never thought Trisha Lewis would say, that I want to be involved in a fitness or wellness industry. But yes, I 100% say your goals out loud. I want to do something with helping others.
Yeah, but you said that even before this podcast, before we got on, that you wrote down whenever it was, get on Brian's podcast.
Yeah, Brian's podcast. Late Show was one, and I'm not revealing the rest of them, but they're slowly, and I'm leaving them not approach me, but I'm letting life just happen. And if I wasn't ever going, I wasn't fixated going, must get on Brian Keane's podcast, you know. Yeah. It was just a goal, and if it happens, it happens. And if it didn't happen, I'm not going to look at it negatively. So I stopped looking at things negatively now. Everything's positive.
What's your, just out of curiosity on that?
Yes, I got on the podcast, yes.
Yeah, you did. I'm like,
so happy. He has no idea I'm a fraud.
Yeah.
Imagine if I catfished you and all my photos were edited.
Yeah, that's it. Say nothing. Nobody knows. Shh. How do you go about setting goals? Because they may be different. So say, for example, when you're trying to lose X amount, or you want to go on this show or that show or this TV or whatever it is. What's your goal setting approach? Do you just write it down somewhere? Do you have any kind
I
of
kind of
process?
write it down beside. There's a little book my sister had given me at Christmas, and it was so basically Anne-Marie had her baby, and it was baby Danny, and then when I went up to the hospital, it was June, and she was like, "Oh, his roast." She was like, "Take off his little jacket." So I took off his jacket, and he was like, "Will you be my godmother?" Because I'd made a promise on the bump not to give up. So that was actually, that's what kept me going the first few weeks. So I promised on our bump I wouldn't give up. So then at Christmas, she was like, whenever you fail or whenever you think you're failing, just have a look at this photo, and it's a picture of me and Danny. And he was like, you will always be my influencer. Forget about Instagram and just write down your goals. So she made a little list. So I just write my goals there. And she's like, and instead of goals, they're actually promises to Danny. So there you go, Danny.
Oh, I love that.
So that's how I do it. I kind of write them down and put them in my head as well. And
well, I think, I spoke about in my first book about finding your why. Like, your why needs to be bigger than you.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're making a change at the
fairly
start.
big now to get bigger than me at the start. I want to go to the moon.
But sometimes you've got to use another person or something else that just gives you that bit more of a drive. I love that.
So it was just brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so gorgeous.
And
I have another godson, Jack, who's even perfect as well. He was another way to get me to lose weight. They keep giving me godchildren to try and incentivize it.
It's working.
I have like 97 godchildren, imagine. I have a cult.
Well, it's clearly doing the job. Next one comes in from Claire2988. Is there a lot of pressure you have when you've got such a large following, or do you feel a lot of pressure with such a large following?
No. And I thought the answer would always be yes to this. I think the following that I have there, and I'm not just saying it because they might be listening, they're incredible. There's no negativity, and it's not just all overweight people. It's every shape, every size, every weight. So I guess the amount of pressure I put on myself is just from me. It's not from them.
Yeah.
So a few times I've been like, oh, for God's sake, like I'm so busy now replying to messages. Should they not ask me to reply?
Yeah.
So once I kind of look at it, kind of go to the gym, prioritize it, and know that Instagram isn't my life.
Yeah.
I'm putting up, I know it's the highlight reel and some of it is not highlighted, it's sweaty.
Yeah.
But I know that they would prefer me to lose the weight than to gain the weight while sitting there eating a bag of Maltesers replying to them.
Yeah.
So once I twisted my mind thinking again, so no, there's no pressure. Like there's no one ever messaging going, how much to lose this week? 10 minutes. There's none of that.
Yeah.
And they never put pressure, and it's the most lovely little world. But I have to remember that it's just a phone, put it away, and still lose weight. Because if I don't lose weight, I don't have an Instagram. So it's only the pressure I put on myself. But no, I don't get pressure off it. I get kind of motivation more than anything.
Yeah, you have a great tribe. Like your tribe are brilliant. When I scroll through the comments and see, like, your tribe are amazing.
They're heroes. They're actually, and like God, and a troll will come. A troll I know will come. God love him. He or her.
Yeah.
He'll get destroyed. Destroyed. They will like transform him to death. Do you know?
The beauty though of having had your own worst enemy live between your two ears is if someone from the outside comes in, you're like, I've heard it all. I've said it to myself. Like, you can't hurt me with that.
Yeah, because even after later there was a few comments on like the Independent out of year and thing, and it was funny. I was like, one man was like, it was her choice to be fat. Who cares? I was like, what a stupid comment. But I'd said worse to myself. So people were like, you all right, hon? I was like, great, and because they were like, oh God, did you see that? And I'm like, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, it shows how. Well, hurt people. I did a podcast last year on how to deal with negative people, or how to stop caring if people think about you. Like, hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, if you have such either an insecurity or pain in yourself, it's way easier to project it onto Trish or onto whoever, onto me, onto whoever, because it's just easier, as opposed to being like, oh, I don't feel too good about myself. Let's ask the difficult question of, why do I feel insecure and need to project whatever is going on within me?
Why do I need to be kind of snappy and aggressive, and which is what I was becoming, which what was happening to me, which I hated. Yeah, I was short-tempered, and I'm not like that at all my life. I've had crack all my life, but there was the bloody time of 26 to 27 stone for 2 years. It was so horrible. Yeah, so horrible.
Was that your lowest point?
Yeah. Oh my God, it was horrible.
And was it the lowest? What was it? A combination of your weakest mindset overlapping with when you were at your heaviest weight, or it was just a combination of it all coming together at that time?
Thing. It was walking. It was even down to I couldn't burst out crying on a holiday and on my own, instead of going out to my friends being like, lads, I'm nipping you all in the bud. But I remember we were sitting on the veranda and everyone was asking each other where did they get their dresses, and then I was like, oh my God, nobody's asked me. Yeah, absolutely nobody, because I was wearing this like hue, and you wear bigger clothes then because you're like, just cover everything. Yeah. But now they weren't being mean. They were just, they knew how unhappy I was, that they didn't want to bring attention to something. They knew I wasn't happy in a big long black dress with a long black cardigan.
Yeah.
Do you know, and they were like, so I just remember, and I went into the room bawling, crying, but I should have went out to them and said, do you know, lads, that hurt my feelings, and they'd have been like, sorry, we did this because of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just low holidays, I can't wait to go on a holiday and actually enjoy it. Like, my friends are like, God, I'm going to go to a nudist beach and you're all coming. We're all going to go mad. But you know, I remember like I didn't, the last holiday I went to Marbella, my boss has a house and we were all there having great fun. I didn't even go to the beach on that holiday. Yeah. I sat in the veranda the whole time. And then when I remember there was a bus strike on in Marbella and we had to walk down to the pier, and it's about a 5-minute walk, and I waited an hour and a half for a taxi.
Wow.
Isn't that, because I was in so much pain.
Yeah.
Everything hurt. And you know, my friends were like, no, we'll wait, we're allergic, we're wrecked as well.
I assume mentally, emotionally, as opposed to physically.
Everything. I mean, everything towards the end. Okay. It was physically, mentally, emotionally, it was everything. Oh. And then the next morning I went up for breakfast in this lovely, like, healthy place, and I could sense people stared at me always, because I was the biggest person in most rooms. And as this particular woman was leaving, she dropped a card on my table, and I was like, what the hell, was this Spanish woman, like, who is she? And it was gastric bypasses Marbella, and it ruined my whole holiday. I was like, oh my God, because I felt like I was out of Ireland, I was out of my comfort zone, you know, I'd wore a crop pants, you know, and people didn't know me there, and then I was like, oh, I'm actually this Trish over here as well. Now, she was trying to help, but I was, my heart, and I should have went up to my friends at the pool and said, look, and I just got, but instead I didn't, and I was like, no, I don't want to go for breakfast, I'm going to make eggs here.
Yeah. You
know, I'm going to sit under the veranda reading a book. But I was miserable.
It's amazing how, as you said, like, environmental depression is what I'll call it, because it's environmental in the sense of I'm physically looking this way, feeling this way, I emotionally feel this way, and that depression is what you go back into yourself when it's the worst thing you can do.
Worst thing you can do. And anyone listening now, stop it.
Yeah.
Get out of it, no matter how embarrassing it might be to go to somebody and say, like, however fat you think you yourself, everyone sees it, you're not hiding anything. Just go up and tell them, I feel too fat.
Yeah.
And they're going to understand. They care about you, they love you, but instead of blocking it out and just throwing back, and that's what I was doing, throwing back as much drink as I possibly could on a night out, which is again self-sabotage. I was going bananas, like down in drink.
Was it a numbing effect? Was it
trying to get that? So I was kind of getting that 20 to 24 stone. It was great to just forget and to be young again. Does that make sense? Like to kind of laugh without even thinking. But then I found I'd gotten so big and so inside my head I couldn't even drink. Like I would be down. Like I remember I could have 20 gins and I couldn't get out of my own head to get drunk. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't have been able to, like, I was obviously over the limit and everything, but I'd be sitting there going, in my head going, oh my God, is there a chair in this pub that would have backed, like, you have to think of all that stuff. There was no way I would go into a pub where I had to stand.
Yeah.
No one cared, just go in and, like, so I'd given up drink kind of a year before it all started, because I found then I was going home and I would bawl myself to sleep, crying my eyes out, because I was so down then from all the drink in my system.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then a particular thing had happened, kind of my last night out drinking. I remember I skipped the crowd and left them all. I was like, did the Irish goodbye, because there was no chair for me in the pub, and I was like, oh my God, there's no way I can stand, because someone is going to say something to me. I'm in everyone's way. Like, I'm sweating. I hated it. And I went in and I ordered pizza, and I got 2 slices of pizza, and Mum was like, yeah, no problem, I'll get you 2 pizzas there for you. And he was at pulling out, and I was like, no, 2 slices. And he was like, come on. He's like, 2 full pizzas for you, surely. And I remember I was like, and I just was like, really? And I just walked out bawling. Now, thankfully, because I don't know how down I would have got from that, my sister happened to be on a night out in Cork as well. She was like, why are you crying? With the GPO. And I was like, I'm getting a cab. And now she went in and ate the heads off them. Like, but yeah, that's how much of a target you are. Like, and there's no point brushing it over. And it's a bit of a victim, you know, poor me. But it does happen. People are horrible to you.
Yeah.
They are horrible. They see, and it's not just like 14, 15, 16 stone. It's morbidly obesity. They're like, brilliant, let's target her now.
Yeah.
And I remember they were all laughing, and the people in the queue, and one girl was like, cop on. Like, she was like, you alright, girl? And I was like, it's grand, I don't want it anyway. And he was like, come on, it was just a joke, like, come back. And I was like, and now I walk past it every day and I'm like, you know, staring creepily in the window at them. I'm like, remember me, lads? Like, I don't want your pizza because I'm a transformer. But yeah, those things happen, and I think they're not spoken about. They're not spoken, because if I told that to one of my friends, they go, that's horrible, I hope you're okay. Now let's have a chat about your weight.
Yeah.
And it brings you into the reality, you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So it's easier to go home and cry your eyes out.
It's amazing though what happens when you kind of control that enemy or demon within your head, and how the same circumstance, if it happens now, you're like,
Oh, probably still hurt. It wouldn't hurt me now.
Yeah, but even in it still hurts, but it's a different kind of hurt. It's not a
Raw.
that consuming hurt where it breaks you.
Yeah.
Like when you're feeling insecure in yourself and somebody throws a rock at you, that rock feels like it's shattering your whole being.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, even like if you have a cut and you you get a scab, but it's very sensitive for the first few days, so you kind of make yourself better. You get up the next morning, you're like, oh, I'm grand now, and I'll go out and face the day, even though inside I'm crumbling.
Yeah.
And then someone says to me, it's like the cut opens and your wound is like wide open.
Yeah.
So you're open to infection and everything you can possibly get. It was just, some people can be very cruel.
Yeah.
But 99% of people are not. It's only the one.
But it's the negativity bias as well, because that's the one that gets in. It's the 99 people who are telling you keep going, you're doing amazing.
Yeah.
The one person that has a negative comment, that's the one that we tend to grasp.
And I know it's such cliche, but you can't change them. You can only change how you filter it.
Yeah.
So if it happens now and something hurts me, I'm like, ouch. But then I'm like, you know what? Actually, excuse me. Move on.
Yeah.
And get a bit sassy with it. And that's the part of weight loss that I think is not really sold as well. To go to the gym and drink your water and eat healthy food, you have to do so much more. You have to build yourself back up because you pulled yourself down.
Why do you think that idea isn't sexy to people that are overweight? The eat well, train a certain way, drink more water. Why didn't it appeal to you when you were 25 or 26 as opposed to the gastric bypass, the shake diets, bar
It seemed like
diets?
too much work.
Okay.
It seemed like it was too hard. It wasn't the easy way out. It wasn't quick enough. And it just seemed that it wasn't, like the gym wouldn't be for me. The gym is not for fat people. It's for really muscly people and really fit people and bodybuilders, but that's all things you tell yourself. So that's why I didn't do it. I was like, no, I'm too nervous, I can't go in. And you get to the stage where I've gone way too far. I can't fix this now, sure.
Yeah.
So I did try 16 stone, 17 stone, 18 stone. Like I joined Dennehy's 3 times.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 times. Same gym that worked for me now. So it's never the gym's problem. If anyone's listening to this now and you've given up a gym and you've gotten rid of a nutritionist because they were useless, it's never their problem. They're qualified for a reason. They know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's you. You've done something along the way to convince yourself to pull it out.
It's so ironic that would be the thought process of someone overweight or obese in the gym, because when I see people who are overweight or obese, it lights me up. I'm like, this is where you should be.
Boom.
I'm like, you're in the place to make your life better.
And a lot of people will go, oh my God, well, like, do people judge and stare at you? And that's a very frequent question asked to me.
Yeah.
And I will always take time to reply to those and just say, no, absolutely not. When you think about it, when you exercise, you get this incredibly rush of, like, I could do star jumps around the car park after the gym. I'm delighted. It's the happiest environment you'll ever be in because it's full of endorphins.
Yeah.
There are no negative people in there, and anyone who's in there is only there for themselves.
Yeah.
There's no one walking into gym going, you know what, I'm going to squash 120 just to get at a fat person and mock them. That's not where they're going to get you. They're going to catch you on the walking down the street. They're going to catch you in a pub. They're going to catch you in a park. They're not going to catch you in the gym. Get into the gym. And that's what I found after, because I stayed in a personal training studio for a few months. Couldn't go upstairs in the gym. And it was just one day I walked in, I was like, up. And she was like, Rand, I'm walking with you. Let's go with her if she's able. The mirrors were up there and everything. And I found that it was guys that looked like herself, Brian. There was like one, like I'm waving over and like, oh, sorry, work away, the weight's there. And it was the most, and at start I was like, oh yeah, I'll get the weight there myself, or you don't need to help me. Kind of straight away on the defense that they were going to hurt me.
Yeah.
When in fact, like, then these guys come in there and like, hey Trish, how you getting on? And I'm like, flying by, how you getting on? And can I use that after you? And no one's judging you. Absolutely not. And if they are judging you, get out of the gym.
Yeah.
And if anyone's here now and they judge people in the gym, get out.
Yeah.
And I think it should be filled with people that are overweight. It has to be.
Yeah.
To change it. It really does. And no one should feel embarrassed or conscious because no one actually cares about you in the gym. Like personal trainers don't care if you can't squat. They don't care. They'll get you there. That's their job. That's what's going to make them go home to their partners and be like, oh, this is a brilliant day. No one's judging you. It's only yourself. It's only yourself being a bit mad. That's all it is.
It's so true. As someone that's in the fitness industry, worked as a personal trainer for years, worked with people in similar positions, like one, as someone that's a gym goer now, where I don't work with people one-to-one and per se, when I see as somebody in the gym that's overweight or obese, like as I said, not only from a selfish standpoint does it light me up going, you're here to get better, I'm going to make the best of my workout, you're doing the same, but that's what it should be. That
creates a point going, oh my God, geez, I better do my workout now because that's the effect of not working out.
Yeah.
So it's nearly like a motivation for mostly people to be like, lift harder.
I've never seen it as a negative thing. Like when I see overweight, and for anyone that's listening that's overweight or obese, as somebody that's in the probably on the other side of the spectrum in terms of fitness has been a large part of my life for a large period, I get motivated. When I met you up in Dublin, I was like fucking, I was like, keep doing your thing. Like,
it was so random when she was creeping down with the microphone catching Thomas. I was like, oh my lord, this is happening. I was like, Catherine, get away from me.
But that's what it is. Like your journey is so inspiring. It's why even sharing it now, because you connect in different ways. You know, the people that are listening that need to lose weight or overweight will connect in a certain way. People that are on a different journey will connect in a different way, because we all have that voice. We're all trying to strive to be better.
All you gotta do is reset. That's literally it.
Which brings me a perfect segue, which was literally the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. Talk to us about your idea of resetting.
Okay, so whenever in the past, if I did a diet and it said, right, you're allowed to have 200 grams of cottage cheese or 3 chicken breasts or whatever it might be, and if I had 4 chicken breasts, then I was like, oops, messed that one up, gone. Dump the diet, go straight away and I have a Mars bar because I'd messed it up. Punishing myself straight away. When in fact I should have been like, right, you had 4 chicken breasts, just reset. Go back to the plan. So every single time I have it, and I do, like I said to my trainer a few weeks ago, I was like, Emma, I really messed up yesterday. She was like, what'd you do? And I was like, I had 4 Snickers bars ice creams. She was like, Trisha, that's normal. We've all done that. We've all like bought a box of Snickers bars ice creams.
We'll have one tonight, one tomorrow. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
And I was like, yeah. Does that all happen to you? And then I was like, Emma, I have something to tell you. I was like, I individually drove into town 4 times. It's a 15-minute drive for 4 Snickers bars from Maxwell. I was like, literally made a conscious decision to drive the 15 kilometres in and go, I'll have one more of those, Christopher. And literally, and that's the part of sabotage that happens. So when I made light of it, I went, actually just reset. I'm back to the gym here today.
Yeah.
So every time that happens and you end up falling into a freezer of ice cream, just hop out, dust yourself off and say nothing, because no one actually cares. No one cares about your faults. They only care about your wins and your triumphs. Like nobody's going, oh, she's up 7 pounds.
Yeah.
Delighted. They're like, go on, Trish, keep going, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So just reset. And that's in every part of life. If something goes wrong, if you trip and, like if you fell over on the street, you're not going to lie down there and go, right, I'm ready to die. I'm done. You get back up.
Yeah.
Get back up on it, and just keep going. So that's my idea. When I accidentally go a bit mad, just reset, because that's what I did before. Just give up completely. The minute a hurdle came, it's easier to lie down and die than fight. Get up. Just do it.
I love that idea of resetting. I think that's so powerful. Yeah. Do you have any triggers, or how frequently does it happen where you have to reset? Is it something that happens quite frequently that you have to catch, or is there any particular triggers that you're...
I find my Sundays are terrible. Okay. I don't know what is going on with the Sundays, and today I do nothing. Maybe that could be it. I just kind of chill out and I mightn't have as regular meals. Triggers, I suppose... Yeah,
Sunday can be a trigger. The day of the week can be the trigger.
But it's not like I'm like, oh, it's the day of the rest now and just chill out. I'm just being so lazy. I'm like, no, I'm not going to cook there now, and no, I'll make a bigger meal later on. But then that's overeating. Do you get me? So Sunday could be a bit of a day that I need to. If I improved on Sunday, I'd probably lose my weight. Actually, that's my new thing. I'm going to reset all my Sundays.
Love it.
Yeah. So do the triggers happen often? The kind of resets. Some days it could happen 50 times a day, and then it mightn't happen for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So just take them as they come. Yeah. And like there's no harm as well, like, if someone wants a bit of chocolate, and that's the part that I said at the very start, because as a chef, food is my passion, it's my career. And I'd said to my sisters maybe 2 weeks into it, I said, lads, I'm going to lose weight here. I'm not losing flavour. End of. Yeah. So have a bit of feta cheese in your salad. Maybe sacrifice a pound a week, less of a loss, but it's way more sustainable. Yeah. So just keep at it. And if you want to have do your oven roast chips if you need to, if you really crave chips. And that's the thing, if you really crave a cheap meal, do it. Doesn't work for me because I find I get very negative from it. Yeah. And I suppose when your food is tasty, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But just bring it to basics. If you like a bit of feta cheese, push it into salad. It's not going to kill anyone. No. If you like toast, get it into your diet somehow. And a lot of people ask me what calories I'm on and can I help them with them, and I can't help anyone with that because I haven't a notion. Yeah. So, and it would be very unfair for me to go, you should do 2,000 calories now a day, but I could be damaging someone's metabolism. I haven't a notion, and I never will. Hopefully maybe I'll do nutrition or something, I don't know. But just anyone listening, I hope they don't think it's rude that I never help them, but they'll all figure it out themselves. If you just keep Googling it, and I haven't a clue what macros are and micros are. I'm the worst person on your fitness podcast, but eventually I will learn them and I'll break them down in Trisha's language and I'll tell people what it is. But at the moment, if you fall into a bag of chips, it's not the worst thing in the world. They're lovely.
Yeah.
Just don't be doing it every day.
Dangers in the dose.
Yeah.
You know, people, you mentioned the word sustainability there, which is the difference between the bar and the shake diets versus what you do now. Like a small bit of feta on your salad's not going to set you back. It helps. If that's what helps you stay on track, keep that, you know.
And I find that's what people are like, how are you losing weight with those recipes going up and stuff? And I'm like, because when you look at it, I'm just being cute with the piece of chicken.
Yeah.
I'm just adding a bit of spice to it, like, and, you know, being sneaky about it, as opposed, like, I'm not throwing a load of butter and béarnaise sauce all over the fish, but I might grill some capers and do a bit of garlic and olive oil, do you know, and straight away it's not a boring piece of hake anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know, you have to make sure, and if you love boring bland food, brilliant, that works for you. Yeah. But
I'm that person, by the way. Like I don't like spices.
Veg.
I don't. Yeah. Keep it simple.
Works for you, done.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work for you, figure out why it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And if it's because you've got bored in a diet and you've gone mad and went out to Domino's and got everything you could because you deserve a treat meal, that's not sustainable, I think, personally, for cheat meals. I don't like the idea of them. So I think every meal should be a treat. Yeah. Because it keeps you alive. So,
am I right in saying then you don't track your macros and calories, you just kind of go with the kind of clean eating approach?
Yes and no. So maybe one day every 2 weeks I will use my fitness pal and I'll bang in everything I've ate just to make sure I'm kind of there. Now, I'm not counting calories as such then, but if I'm in a shop, I'm constantly reading the back of packets to kind of educate myself more than anything.
On the calories or the ingredients or both?
The ingredients, the calories, and the sugar. Yeah. That's what the three I work out the whole time. So, like, if something's 600 calories, I'm like, and if something beside it has 200, I'll probably go with the 200 and go, right, I'll have more of that. Yeah. So and then I look at the ingredients, and if there's 3 ingredients on it that I haven't a clue what it is, it goes back on the shelf. If I can't pronounce it or spell it, it's not going into my body. End of. Do you know? So, and I suppose the less ingredients, the better. So if I'm getting passat, I'm trying to get 100% tomatoes. Yeah. I'm not trying to get 48% with preservatives and stuff like that. Just be cute about it, because, like, and I also have it's a really weird mentality, but I have the mentality of, what would you feed a 3-year-old? Yeah. And if I wouldn't feed one of my nieces or nephews, I wouldn't give them 4 Easter eggs. I can just hand it to them and eat them. You know, I'd be like, gee, the kid's going to get fat. Like, I use the same mentality with myself. Yeah. So, and then sugar, I just try and keep an eye on that, because sugar for weight loss is not going to work. I don't know, is that scientist right? But I find when I eat more sugar, I'm more bloated and just...
Yeah. Well, and the cravings are going to be significantly worse if sugar is high. It's funny, that 3-year-old rule, my daughter's 4, by the time this episode goes out, she'll be just turning 4 in the next, this will be going out in the next 10 days or so, and she's going to be 4, and I use that rule for food. I'm like, that's actually why I stopped eating protein bars for the most part. I still eat them as glorified chocolate bars, where I'm like, you know, I'll have a Fulfill bar or a Quest bar or whatever it is, and a Nutrimino bar. I'm like, these are awesome, but I treat them as chocolate. But I actually stopped. I'm like, well, I wouldn't give this to Holly. You know, because she'd asked, she's like, can I have those?
And that's right, actually, I was using that as kind of every day having it. And I wasn't treating it as chocolate, I was treating it as just a thing I was eating. Which
is the problem with, that's actually my only issue with protein bars, because they taste amazing, is people confusing them with, well, I'll eat this, it's as good as broccoli. It's like, it's not though. Like, it's as probably as good or equivalent to a Mars bar with some protein, which is... Factor it in 100%. If that's what keeps you on track sustainability wise long term, eat a protein bar every day. Some people do that, they'll have 2 every day, and that keeps them on track.
As long as you're tracking it. That's what I wasn't doing. I was just having it with my coffee and being like, I had protein well done, but I also had sugar and chocolate, and I was just saying protein, that's all.
And that's that's actually one of my biggest pet peeves in the diet, is like, protein Cocoa Pops, protein frosted sugar flakes. I'm like,
it's you like can't add protein and putting chocolate powder over it. And you're like, that's not chicken, it's chocolate chicken.
Yes. it's just and it's one of those things that is people are jumping on the bandwagon of adding protein to everything, fortified with protein, and you're just like, understand that it still may not be a great food choice. They've just added some protein to it. So that's kind of the only issue I ever have with that. We've talked about a lot of your struggles so far. But is there any change in your fitness journey that you struggled with the most? Was it the eating? Was it the training? Was it getting your mindset right? Is there any struggle that was particularly jumps out that was the single hardest part to get right?
Probably number 1, finishing out a set of reps. Sometimes my mind got in my way, and it was like my arms turned to jelly, and I was like, I have no strength. The hardest battle, and it's probably nothing to do with fitness, was smoking.
Okay.
That's the hardest part, because I love them so much. I'm a huge advocate for smoking. I smoked from a very young age, and I thought they were the best crack ever.
Yeah.
Until they started to nearly kill me.
Yeah.
My breathing
We
was
were the
gone.
generation though of where smoking was cool. It
was class.
Yeah, it was the thing when you were 14, 15.
Loved it.
Yeah, and if you didn't play sport, you smoked for the most part.
100%. And that's exactly what it was. Skulking around school corners with a box of eggs. You know, just being.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, but like that's the biggest struggle I found. I still find to this day that sometimes on a long car journey up to Galway, I was like, I would love a fag. But then I realised that absolutely.
When did you give them up?
So I joined the gym in February and I gave them up on April the 21st.
Okay.
So I gave them up because I picked a date and it was my niece's birthday. And I was like, look, every time she turns a year older, I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
You know, well, happy birthday, Liz. Like, you're the reason I give up fags.
Yeah.
So this year she turned 9.
Yeah.
And she was like, and she remembered.
Yeah.
So I try and get all my nieces and nephews learning what I'm doing because I don't want them to ever go through what I did. So that was the biggest struggle because I remember I'd been inside in boxing class and nearly vomiting the fire in my chest from smoking, 100%. And that was the moment when I was like, I'll give that up. So I was coming out of the gym, lighting up a fag in the car and driving around. So it just wasn't working. Now, it was the biggest struggle I've ever done, but it's the second best thing in my life I've ever done. 100%.
What helped you kick them? Did you kick them cold turkey? Did you go nicotine
I
gum?
got an e-cigarette because I was going to London. My sisters got me a present for my 30th, and that was a trigger moment for me as well. I was turning 30, and I was really sad because I was just after getting fatter. So I was like, oh crap. So I bought an e-cigarette, charged it up, and I went outside the door and work, went down the street a little bit, and I fired the charger into the bin. And I was like, look, when the battery goes in this, I'm either going to give up fags or I go back on them because I'm not being addicted to a machine. I'd rather be addicted to fags.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I prefer them. They're to me, they're nicer. And that was it. And it's so hard. So when you're listening, I think that's what you need to, the main thing about smoking, I think for anyone listening is don't go hell for leather and give everything up because you're not going to do the gym and give that up as well. It's too hard.
Yeah.
Little by little. And I think the more I did in the gym, then the more confidence I got, kind of going, oh, I can squat now, maybe I could give up fags. And I'm like, oh, quench that dirty thought. You need them.
Yeah.
So I went cold turkey, I suppose, after 4 weeks. And that doesn't mean that I haven't, like, I have an app on my phone and it said in the year, if I didn't give them up, I would have smoked 5,555.
Wow.
Literally, that was the number. And in the year, I'll be very honest, I've smoked about 60.
Yeah.
I have. And like, there's no point saying, oh no, I'm very good, I haven't touched the fag. When I've been drunk or when, never kind of a stressed one, but when I've been drunk, I stupidly been like, go on, I'll have a fag. And the lads were always like, oh, it's her de-transformation, look at her gone mad. And like on Christmas Day, the mum was like, I can see her out by the fountain. I was like, smoking away, happy out. And then I came in, I was like, Mum, I wasn't smoking. I felt like I was 12 again. She was like, but if you were, just don't smoke tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you know, and
reset.
And that's how it works. So even though I've smoked 60 and it's kind of a failure, it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's just, if I can smoke nearly 5,500 less, then I'll take that.
Yeah, well, and 55 next year is a win. Yes, yeah.
So smoking is horrendous. And it was actually a person that came into the restaurant was like, Josh, you should do. He was like, instead of smoking, you should get a rope. And he was like, and just put it around your neck. And I was like, what in the name of God is this man saying to me? And he was like, and every day just tighten it a small bit more. He said, because that's exactly what you're doing every time you light a cigarette. And it was a moment for me that I went, what? And he goes, you're committing suicide by smoking a fag every single day. He was like, it's the most acceptable form of suicide.
That's a great
and he goes,
line.
And if you were me and you open chest like I have, he was like, you would never, ever pick up a fag. And I remember I was like, all right, you're frightening me. There's your bill. But it was about 2 weeks after that I gave it up because he goes, that's literally, he said, your friends are leaving you do that. He said, just remember that that's what you're doing. And every day he said, just tighten it, small bit and a small bit, and that's eventually what's going to happen to you in a few years. I was like, oh my Lord.
That visual's amazing.
Yeah,
that's,
it was brilliant. And it was quite frightening. It's quite a scary thing to say, hear the word suicide because it's so terrifying.
Yeah.
But it was just, when it was said to me, I was like, oh my God, he's so right. He's so right.
Jeez, I love that. That's I'm definitely going to.
And my other favourite one is because sometimes I get anxiety about not drinking because sometimes I want to go out but I don't want to drink. Yeah. And that's part of the people on a fitness journey that you're like, because when I go out I go mad, I go mental Jaeger bombs and I have great crack.
Yeah.
So I'm like, go hard or go home, and then I suffer for about 4 days. And I text my sister a few weeks ago and I was like, I have to go tonight and I'm full of anxiety and I'm not enjoying it, and I should because I'm wearing a lovely dress. I've never worn a dress on Paddy's Day in a long time, and you know, I had this big plan to go out on Paddy's Day, and then I was like, but it's going to affect my training and everything, and I kind of want to be healthier more than I want to be drunk.
Yeah.
And she just simply texts back, she goes, alcohol is the only drug in the world you have to justify why you're not taking it. Go out and drink your sparkling water. And I was like, boom. And literally in the pub I was like, excuse me, if I was taking cocaine here now, you'd be giving out to me. So I'm not taking drugs now. And they were like, Trisha, it's a vodka, relax. But then they realised that I was putting unnecessary pressure. So if anyone doesn't want to drink, just go out and don't drink. That's it. Don't drink.
That's so true.
It's so
and
true.
Irish culture, English culture. I lived 4 years in London. It's very different to the rest of the world because those two cultures, from my experience, because I used to live in California, is the only time when you're saying you're not drinking, people ask, "What's wrong?
Yeah.
Are you driving? Are you on medication?" like
what happened to you?
yeah, it's like what's up? Like what's
just sometimes I don't drink because I get severe anxiety from it, and it affects my mental health. Therefore, affects my weight loss.
Yeah.
Therefore, it messes it up. So you have to be selfish if you want to lose weight. If you don't want to drink, you don't want to drink. End of.
Yeah.
And if sometimes I want to go out and they'd be like, "Please stop drinking, Trish." I'm like, Rome, we know
There's
I'm
no
not
more
sick.
Jägermeister. It's
Yeah,
gone.
no, but so if anyone's struggling with that part, just forget about it. You have to be so bloody selfish.
Yeah.
If you want to go to the gym, you have to go to the gym. And and that's a characteristic that I was always doing. Help everyone else, never help myself. You have to change that now as well. If you're doing that, just give yourself an hour every single day, just yourself, and it'll work.
Yeah, well, you
100%.
can't give from an empty cup. You know, it's looking after yourself first, which kind of segues a little bit into a question from Emer Naviron. I've definitely butchered her surname, and I'm from the Gaeltacht. How do you stay so positive?
I guess I'm just happy. The gym is going to help the endorphins. I made a decision when I was like when I set my Instagram up, I was 24 stone, and I made a decision that day that I was sick of being negative. I was sick of being like just upset the whole time. So I made a decision that I was going to be positive and happy and in love with Trish. Because when I was watching the video of me doing I don't know, it's clean and press or something, I don't know what it is, and I felt a glimmer of pride and this weird little feeling of love. So from then, I kind of got that lovely feeling and I don't want to leave it go. And that's it. And some days, obviously, I'm not like this 24/7. You have to take your downtime as well and just chill out as well. Yeah. But I kind of go head first at the day and kind of go, right, let's just have a laugh, have the crack. Because at the end of the day, if you're being negative, the same people are around you. If you're being positive, the same people are around you. It's only you that's been affected. Yeah. So I just kind of just look on the bright side the whole time. Like I have a lovely family. I got out of a death sentence. It was a fat prison. It was horrendous. So I kind of look at it that way. Then I'm alive and breathing, and I just want to have the laugh the whole time and just be positive and just give yourself no room to be negative. Because the minute I get a little bit of room, I'm like, what? You know, and I'm like, I hate everybody. Build a wall. You know, I'm like, going mad. So just give myself no room, no room for leeway. Just stay positive and look on the bright side. We're above the ground. We're living. We're breathing. There's 100 people around us that adore us. Just maybe start looking for them now and seeing what they see, and that's what I kind of do now. So.
I love it. The last question is one from me, which I'm curious, because of all your positivity and your journey and everything that the message you put out was incredible. It was one of the reasons I connected so much with you. It's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the podcast. Like I was talking to my sister this morning, I put up a picture of you, your before and after. She's like, I freaking love Trish. I follow her. And I was like, I was chatting to you at the FitFex the first time properly, like in face to face. I was like, I need to bring you on the podcast. I was like, you need to come on. I was like, your energy is infectious. You're inspiring. Your motivation is so incredible. And I think regardless of where people are at in their journey, I think people are going to take whatever golden nugget. If they haven't laughed, they've taken some golden nuggets of truth that you've given out. But if you had one message that you could give either a younger Trish or somebody that was bring us back to that point when you were at your low, when you're at the struggle of, you know, the heaviest weight you were at, you're in the depths of your mindset kind of working against you, what message would you give that Trish? What would you say to her? If you could literally take a time machine now and go back, what would you say to her?
That's a really good question. I think I would tell her that it'd be okay. Don't worry. I'm going to come out of it. That I wasn't ugly, that I wasn't disgusting, that I was a lot stronger than I was giving myself a benefit, like giving myself the kind of credit for. I would tell her that just to relax, to not overthink it, not freak out about it. That she's got a huge family around her. She's going to fix it eventually. That she's going to inspire loads of people by just trying, by just pulling herself out of the negative mindset that she wants to be in, and that everything's going to be okay. I'd love to go back and say sorry for everything I did to myself, but I have to move on. I can't go back to that sadness. And I'd love to just, I think, put my arms around her and be like, stop being so scared. Nothing's bad's going to happen from the gym. Stop overthinking everything. Stop thinking that you've ruined your family's lives and everyone's lives and that you're the only fat sister and you're going to ruin every single photo. None of that's true. That's all what you've said to yourself. Nobody cared. Everyone still loved you obese Trish, and they love you at skinny Trish. that you're Trish, and anyone's listening and they've given up, put yourself in Trisha's shoes, that just pull it back and just put it back to basics. You're alive, you're breathing, and if I can do it, genuinely, Brian, anyone can do it. Anyone that can. So to the old Trish, that I'm very sorry, but I got you now. I'm going to carry you around the base. And we're going to...
Squat, yeah.
I'm going to squat you. And you're all right, girl. You did nothing wrong. You've just been a bit mad for a while. And it'll be all fine. You've done nothing wrong. You haven't hurt anyone but yourself. So...
I love it. Trish, for everybody listening, firstly, a massive thank you for coming up. This has been amazing. I love your stuff. I love your message. I love your energy. It's just infectious. Like, I'm literally here on the other side going, fuck, I'm so inspired right now. Apologies, Trish's mum, for swearing. But tell everybody listening, for those of you that aren't following your journey now, where's the best place for people to find out more about you?
On Instagram, I've only one. I don't have anything else. Just Instagram. It's enough to manage at the moment. It's Trishas.transformation. Give me a follow. Say hello and just come over to the madness. And if you're a troll, please go away. Basically. And I have 3 questions that if anyone's listening and I found they work for me, hop into the shower, no matter how much you don't want to. Ask yourself 3 questions. Do you want to be fat or fit? Happy or sad? Dying or healthy? And always remember, and I have to say it, beat the bulge!
I love it. That is going to be, I'm putting that at the very in the description as a call to action.
If you answer those questions right, you're sorted.
Yeah, your life is going to be significantly better if you've got the right answer to that. Trish, and for everybody listening, firstly, that Instagram page, I'll have it linked in the show notes on briankeanefitness.com. Trish, this is freaking awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much again.
I'd sit here for the day chatting. Right, Joe, thank you so much. Bye.
Oh, what do I say about that? With a little bit longer than normal, but I hope you enjoyed that format. This was one of these episodes that was just flowing so well. We ran a little bit over the normal duration and normal length, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to tag it on your Instagram stories. Tag me, tag Trish, Trish.transformation on Instagram. And if you feel compelled to share this, be sure to tell your friends or post it on your wall or do whatever you need to do to get the message out there, particularly if you have any friends or family members who are in a similar position to Trish, maybe not as far along, maybe even further along, because I think this message is so positive and needs to be pushed out there for people who have similar struggles. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Lots of laughs, lots of energy, lots of positivity. I'll catch you all next week.